Life in Uruguay is calm. Cost of living is high. The Punta real estate market has a lot of opportunities. Buying property in Uruguay is easy. Clients from the US are choosing Punta because of stability, safety, and international education. The best thing about living in Punta is to enjoy the beaches all year round. One thing I don't love about Punta is that in winter it's a little damp. If I could live anywhere in Punta, I will choose Punta Ballena that has the best sunset.
All right, so I'm here with Martina Alvarez, who runs a boutique real estate company in Punta del Este. And Martina, you're originally from Punta del Este, right?
Yes.
Tell me about your story briefly and how you got into real estate.
Okay. Yes, I was raised in Punta del Este. I lived there since I was 3 years old. Then I moved to Montevideo. I studied accountant. I'm a public accountant. And I moved to Punta del Este back 10 years ago. I started then in real estate. I always loved the commercial part of my previous jobs.
And you were like #1 realtor in Punta del Este for a while, weren't you?
I started my business, my career in Remax. I was there 9 years, and I learned everything in Remax. I really like that enterprise. I stayed there 9 years. I was multiple prime several years.
Like top realtor in Punta.
Yes, in Uruguay. Yes.
In Uruguay?
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes,
amazing. So, if you're talking to somebody who's never been to Punta del Este and the surrounding towns, how do you describe it?
I think Punta del Este has everything. I always say that. It has an amazing nature, beaches, parks. It has two infrastructure, amazing restaurants, hotels, medical centers are really good. We have a lot of international schools. So it has the infrastructure of a big city, but with a calm of a little city with a great nature.
Right, and right on the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. And we are next to the capital. So if you need anything, you are 2 hours from Montevideo by car.
Absolutely. So Punta's got a lot of very, very different neighborhoods.
Yes.
Yeah? So can you take us through a few that most of your clients are interested in?
We say Punta del Este from all the coast from Piriápolis to José Ignacio. That is in the department of Maldonado. And basically, you can have like different lifestyles between each of its neighborhoods. So it depends of what you want, of what you like, what will be the ideal neighbor for you. That's the first thing I ask clients for being able to decide what is the best neighborhood for the client. For example, Piriápolis is like a tiny city different from Punta del Este, mostly chosen from Uruguayans, but a lot of Argentinians and foreigners like to because it's calmer all year round, it's cheapest. Then we have like, for example, Peninsula, that is usually chosen by retired people that don't want to use a car, they want to have everything. You have banks, you have restaurants, you have supermarkets, cinemas, 24/7 maybe.
Yeah.
So you have places to walk around with sightseeing, so you don't need to use a car. Then we have like Jardines de Córdoba, and Marley and San Rafael. There are residential areas, mostly for houses, mostly chosen by families that has their children in the schools, because we have a lot of schools there. So they are like 5 minutes driving for mostly all the schools. And you have services all around. Then you have like La Barra, that is for families too, and people like single and leisure lovers, surfing, and you have some international schools that are really good. They're in La Barra. So,
And La Barra is more of an arty community, right?
yes, like a hippie chic community, I think. Yes, La Barra has a lot of culture and art. So it's a really nice neighborhood. Then in the line of Mansa and Brava, we have a lot of condo buildings that has, for example, a lot of amenities and services. So you may have 24-hour security, beach service in summer that they deliver the chairs, and then you have daily cleaning, pool, gym, everything, most everything. So they're choosing to for older people and families done because they mainly resolve everything.
Can you talk us through the typical houses that somebody might buy in Punta and what kind of prices we're looking at?
Okay, nowadays houses are basically chosen by families that want to live all the year round. They have to have the comfort for living all the year. So market of houses has been like hot. We have sold a lot in the past like 3 years after pandemic.
The reason that you mentioned comfort all the year round in houses is for people that don't know. Then before the pandemic, Punta del Este was very much a town for the summertime. And so a lot of the houses, and we talk about this in our interview with an architect, is that often they wouldn't be very well insulated, for example, for all year round. But that has changed since the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So could you give us an idea of, like, say, I don't know, you tell me the number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms of a house and what the price would be in Punta?
Yes, it varies a lot between neighborhoods, but to have an ideal number, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a land of 600 square meters may cost between $400,000 and $500,000.
Okay. And if we're talking about an apartment, what are we looking at there?
It varies too if it's first line of the sea or not, and the floor obviously, and the amenities of the building.
Yeah.
An economic example of an apartment may be like 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, around like $200,000 and $300,000. And first line of Mansa in a new tower, like a lot of towers, may cost 900,000, a million, and up.
Okay. Let's talk about renting.
Some years ago, Punta del Este was a seasonal market, but nowadays we have like a year-round market. Okay, high season is between Christmas and end of February, and the peak season is between Christmas and 10-12 of January. Okay, a secret from locals is that most of owners rent their houses or apartments in that peak season to cover all the expenses
For the rest of the year?
Yes, for the rest of the year.
And so you said that you do that, right?
Yes, I do.
A lot of people do that.
Yes, I
so
do.
they leave their house for maybe 3 weeks?
We live like 2-3 weeks, depends on what you want, and then you cover all the tanks. Maybe you can, in the year you fix some, you paint, all with the rent of the 2 weeks of summer.
So the rental prices go crazy. We're here
Yes.
in the peak season. So that's great news for anybody that owns.
Yeah.
What about people that are thinking of moving to Uruguay and renting? What would you advise them in that case?
They should consider moving between March and September, because in summer, owners rent in summer with renters of summer, Airbnb, and then they, if they are considering moving, they should be looking properties between March and September, because in the other period, the properties will be rented for summer renters. And the owners that didn't rent their properties in November will consider renting in January and February, and then put rent
On the
again on the
year-long market
market,
again.
or the annual market in March.
I think what surprises people a lot, when they hear the story of the fact, peak season, oh my God, it's so expensive, they think that annual rentals in Punta are super expensive, but that is not the case, right?
Maybe a house in January will cost like $25,000. And if you rent for the whole year, you will pay $4,000 a month. So it's basically the half.
So, and owners are happy to have annual renters anyway, right?
There, the market is changing. Realtors have show the owner that it's a good business to have rentals all the year, because if not, the property is closed, and they will have to charge all the year expenses, the electricity, the water, the maintenance of the house,
Right.
all the year round. So then if you have tenants, they cover the expenses, and you have more rent, because if not, you have 1 month or 1 month and a half versus all year round. In percentage, it's a really good rent, what we are seeing in Punta del Este versus different cities of Uruguay.
And you mentioned to me that in the rent in general in Punta, it's different compared to Montevideo, that the building expenses, the monthly building expenses are normally included in the rental cost, right?
Yes, when we put an apartment from the market, we put like $1,000 included monthly expenses. Okay.
So what would
tenants
somebody need to pay besides?
Only the internet and electricity. Water is always included in the expenses.
So another example of cost of house rental?
Okay, maybe like in general, we can find a good house to live all the years with good, in good condition, like around like 2,500, between 2 and 3. Maybe we can find a really nice house.
How many bathrooms, bedrooms?
3 bedroom, 2 bathrooms. Yes, near schools are approximately $2,500, $3,000.
Okay, great. What about apartments?
In apartments, we have different prices between. For example, in apartments, we can find like an affordable apartment, maybe listed in 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, from around $2,000. Okay, in relationships are cheaper than the houses, the apartments. Okay, and more like first line, maybe like $5,000 monthly.
And what about a smaller apartment? Say it's somebody that wants a 1-bedroom apartment and maybe like a room for a guest.
Okay, like around 1,200. Maybe we can find a nice apartment. Yeah, with some amenities, a pool, a gym. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. We mentioned that Punta del Este is it's a beach resort. It has 2.5-month period where it gets very busy. But I think often foreigners tend to think, oh my God, it must be really crazy. It must be really unbearable. But you live there. How is it managing that peak season when you live in Punta?
Okay, yes. All the people who live in Punta, we are not, the best month for us is not January. January, because there's a lot of people coming to our place. We love to receive people, but all the year is like calm, you have the beach for you, and in January it's not the case. But okay, prices are the same. Mainly Punta del Este is full till like 15th of January. Then it's lower.
So we're talking about a 3-week period, really.
3-week peak period.
Right.
Peak. We
right.
have all the renters and visitors all the summer, but peak is till like 15th of January.
Right. So basically, before the pandemic, Punta was very much a seasonal town, as you said. With the pandemic, then 25,000 Argentines
More.
moved.
Yes.
And so it's really increased the demand year-round
Yes.
for good restaurants and for things to do and international schools
Yes.
and, well, the British hospital opened up.
Yes.
Hospital there. So
Yes.
things have really changed, right? In Punta. I mean, I'm even considering Punta.
Yes.
And I never did before. I never thought I would say that.
We talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. You've lived in Montevideo. You've lived in Punta. Be honest with me. What would you say are the principal differences, the positives and the negatives, if you were to describe to a foreigner
Okay.
regarding living?
I think Montevideo is like, it has like more nightlife, okay? You have more like cultural activities all during the year. And if you're young, like in the 20s, you will love living in Montevideo because you have a lot of things to do. Maybe after the 30s, you will really value living in Punta del Este because for me it's magic. What else?
What would be the difference in Punta compared to that?
For me, in Punta del Este, you have quality of life. In 10 minutes, you can drive mostly for the most important point of the town. Maybe you can get your child out of the school, the international school, lunch in home, and return. Maybe in Montevideo, you can't do that because of the traffic, the distance.
The kid could go walk or go by bike.
Yeah, a lot go by bike, go with electric bike. That's for me is quality of living.
What about the difference between costs in renting and in buying in Montevideo versus Punta? How would you compare them?
I think the cost of buying is similar. Okay, from, for example, the cheapest part of Montevideo, you compare to Maldonado, that is really near the tourist points, the beaches and everything.
Maldonado is another city, right?
Yes. Maldonado is part of the city. It's all together. Punta del Este, La Barra, it's all 10 minutes. And maybe there you find like low prices. So that will be compared to parts of Montevideo, like Cordón, Palermo. So I think prices are similar, and then you have more parts that are more expensive, okay? But it depends on the budget. I think I always tell the client, with every budget, we can find things.
Right.
Okay? And the other thing for me is that Punta del Este has a market to continue growing, okay? So for me, like from the investment side, it's a good business to buy in Punta del Este.
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Punta del Este is growing. In every city that grows, the square meter, the price grow. Okay, and that's what we have seen in Punta del Este the past 5 years. Okay, it has been increasing steadily. So not like speculations. It has been growing because of the growth of the city. That's why. And I think we have a lot of market to still growing. Okay. What I see in Montevideo, that the prices are really high now, but because it has been increasing the price, and I think it's they're in the top.
Yeah.
So what I see is that in Punta, you have like more opportunities to increase your capital in buying properties.
Right.
And the annual rent is really good.
Do you work often with foreigners?
Yes.
And how do you work with them?
I usually like interview and have like meetings with them with Zoom or Google Meet, and we talk a lot because the thing is I have to know their lifestyle and then to recommend parts. So basically we have to see that first, and then the budget. So, and with all the information, then they come and we start seeing the different areas, what they want. But yes, I'm really used to working with foreigners.
And how long does it take, like from the moment somebody's found their house to being able to actually
Move? Usually it takes like 2 months between we first sign the agreement,
Yep.
that it calls boleto de reserva, and we have the final document, assignment, and they give you the key.
So, Martina, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, how do they do that?
WhatsApp or my Instagram, that is at Martina Alvarez Real Estate, or my website.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for the time. It's been super useful.
Okay, thank you.